All right, guys, there's been some exciting changes in the lightweight division, and I thought there's one man I want to get on the show to get a little bit of an update from. Of course, he captures the hearts and minds of all the fans every time he steps into the octagon. The one and only Beneil Dariush is back in the house. And guys, I have to reveal something to you. He's got a new haircut. Beneil Dariush, welcome.
What's
Welcome,
going on,
welcome,
brother?
welcome. Dude, not much, man. And not as much as your division, because there is some excitement movement in your division that I want to get to. Before we get into that, though, man, last time we spoke, you were going to go to the doctor, get a bit of an update on your knee, and that was going to dictate the big return. So let's get straight into it, dude. Give me the update. How's the knee going? And what did the doctor say?
The knee's been feeling good. The doctor basically said at this point, I don't think we need surgery, but if the surgery becomes necessary, they would remove the meniscus and just toss me out there without a meniscus. That's actually something that's more common than I thought. So, knee's been feeling very good. I've been able to train pretty much regular.
Very nice, man, because I guess that leads us to the next question with the timeline, right? Because all the Beneil Dariush maniacs out there have been waiting for the big return. I'm trying to read. I'm trying to read into this cool new haircut. Is this the sign of a return sometime soon, or am I just reading into it a little bit?
My hair was just getting super long, man, and I was getting a fro. So my wife's like, "You want me to cut it for you?" I said, "Sure." As soon as I cut it, I realized I had even more grays than before. So I don't hate the haircut. I actually prefer my hair short, but it was a little bit dramatic when I saw the gray hair. But that being said, hopefully I get to fight very soon. I've told the UFC that I'm clear to go and looking to return November, basically.
All right, great. Because I was innocently perusing my Facebook timeline. I go on Facebook sometimes because I'm 35 now, and that's just what 35-year-olds do. And dude, I saw a post on there. I didn't hate it. It said Beneil Dariush versus Paddy Pimblett in the works for UFC 309. Now, I know a lot of this stuff is bullshit because it is Facebook, but have you heard anything about Paddy potentially being your opponent for this MSG card in November?
Honestly, I haven't heard anything. I mean, if that's I don't see that happening because Paddy, from what I understand, in England he sells out. So if there is a fight for Paddy, it would be back in England most likely. I don't remember the last time he was in the States, but if that's a fight that the UFC wants to make at this point, I'm ready to go as long as it's November.
Well, tell me a little bit about what you thought about his win, man, over King Green there. It was a pretty impressive. It was a pretty impressive fight.
He looked, I mean, nearly perfect. I was surprised that King, Bobby King, whatever, that shot on him. I didn't see that coming. I haven't seen Green shoot in a long time, so when he shot, it kind of threw me off. But he got the takedown, but he landed right in a triangle. And Paddy clearly has great jiu-jitsu. Was able to finish that triangle very quickly.
You and him would be a fun fight, I reckon, because obviously it's kind of like a great way to get back in the mix. Paddy's a tough competitor. When you think about how the fight between you and him goes, how do you think you guys match up?
I think overall it's an exciting fight. I think you could say jiu-jitsu cancels out. It could be a lot of striking. Maybe not. Maybe I'm able to take him down, or vice versa. There's so many maybes. I haven't
Mm.
fought in a while, so shoot. There's a lot of questions back there too. So I mean, there. I definitely think it would be an exciting fight. I think that's a fight the fans would enjoy. As far as how the fight goes, I'm not sure.
It's interesting as well because Paddy's gotten a little bit of heat for his striking. He's an aggressive guy. He's got some good shots on him, but he's been caught before in previous fights. And I guess the ground game is really what he's kind of known for. How do you think he does against you on the feet, man? Like you're a pretty devastating striker yourself.
Mm, I've been kind of struggling in the striking in the last couple of fights, but I think power wise, I think I have an advantage in power. It would really be who has the better timing and who can find the other guy. Paddy has an unorthodox style of striking, and he does lead with his chin up. So it makes for exciting fights, right? He comes in, he does a lot of damage, or he gets hurt, and then all of a sudden you see he's grappling. It's a fun fight to watch. I I could see, I could see myself catching him early, or vice versa. It's one of those things where we would just go after it, right? But I really do think experience plays a factor, and I think I'm the guy that goes in there, just kind of beats him up. I'm what you would say, big brother him.
I gotta ask as well, man. If this is November and it's MSG, that means you're on the card with Jon Jones, man, and this is a guy that's been in the return for a while now. What would it mean for you to be on a card with Jon Jones, if it is Madison Square Garden?
I mean, that would be pretty cool. Pretty cool. I don't really know John that well. Outside of what I've seen on the news about him, but
Oh boy,
yeah, I don't.
what kind of news
John,
are you looking at?
yeah, like John's style is the closest you have to a perfect mixed martial artist. He's been able to do whatever he's wanted throughout the years. So, like, if we're talking Jon Jones, the mixed martial artist, you're looking at probably the greatest of all time. He's been able to wrestle when he wanted to wrestle. He's been able to strike when he's wanted to wrestle. He's gotten the finishes that he's wanted to get. He's a guy you really can't be like, oh, he's got a hole in this or he's got a hole in that. There's been zero holes in his game.
He's the ultimate competitor, no doubt about it, man. Whatever's happened to him, you can't debate the fact that he's one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time, to do it, man. I know you just mentioned that there were a few questions for you about, the stand-up from the last couple of fights, and I remember we spoke a little bit about how you wanted to sort of get in there, get some sparring going, get in the gym and feel yourself out a little bit after the last couple of fights. How are you feeling in there, man? Like when you're in a training room right now, you're doing your sparring, especially on your feet. Have you been able to sort of answer any of the questions that you had for yourself before you were able to get the process started?
Yeah, I've spent some time in the room, and to be honest with you, man, in the room I feel like the best in the world. That's the tricky part. When I'm in the room, whether it's striking or grappling, I feel really good. I pose a problem to basically everybody I train with, and that's just the way it is in the room. I've always felt great like that. It's a whole nother thing transitioning into the octagon. Obviously, I've been able to do it for a long time, but I've struggled for the last two fights, and that's really the trick now. Am I going to be able to bring that same energy and same success into the octagon? I don't know, but I'll tell you this: I've been feeling pretty dang good in the room.
Hey there, all you dreamers and creamers out there in Submission Radio land. I'm going to take a quick break to shout out our sponsor, Manscaped, who has you sorted this Father's Day with all of the greatest products. And by the way, these are the two products I use on the regular. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra and the Beard Hedger has me sorted every morning and as a part of everyday routine for me and a lot of my friends out there. If you guys want to try out these products, they're absolutely spectacular. 20% off and free shipping with a code word submission. The Lawnmower 5.0 is the ultimate experience when it comes to having a smooth body and smooth balls whenever you need it. Perfect for training, perfect for the bedroom, and perfect for everything in between. Make sure to jump on and check that out today. And of course, the Beard Hedger is the ultimate way to keep your beard in check. So jump on Manscaped today, 20% off and free shipping now. And don't forget, every time you purchase something from here, you support the program. Keep the lights on at Submission Radio, thanks to Manscaped. Now back to the program. Well, dude, it's great to see that you've had a good break and you've had a chance to recharge your batteries and answer some questions. And again, I hope this Paddy fight comes together because it's the perfect fight, I think, for the big return. And also Madison Square Garden, so historic, even though you're going to get killed by it, paying $1 million in taxes. But but that's just a conversation offline between you and me. Dude, your division right now is a really exciting place to be, right? So me and Casper, because he still does the live coverage with me, we went over to Perth and we watched Dan Hooker's fight live cage side against Gamrot. And I got to get your reaction here, man. Dan Hooker in 2024 back in the top 5 rankings. Pretty remarkable comeback for him. What was your reaction to see him get this win over Gamrot? What did you think of the fight? And what do you think about the fact that this man is back in the top 5 rankings?
He showed tremendous heart. Like he looked absolutely amazing. Uh, the fight, the first 3 minutes of the fight, the 3 minutes of the fight looked how I thought it would. I thought Gamrot was, to be honest, he was going to dominate, and he did the first 3 minutes. But then after that, things really changed. Dan comes back, was able to even hurt him in the first round, and in a lot of people's opinion, and including mine, I think he won the first round because of the way he came back. Second round, Gamrot comes in, exciting fight, but he's able to win the second round, and then Dan Hooker somehow he ends up winning the third. Like fantastic fight by Dan. He showed tremendous heart. He showed true warrior spirit. That was a hard fight, and it was a fight not many people thought he was gonna win, including me. He obviously proved me wrong. Super impressed by him, man. He used all his weapons as best he could. He was able to pressure well. He was able to catch Gamrot at the end of his punches. He was able to use the guillotine as a threat to keep Gamrot off of him. I mean, just well done. The fight was, I think, in my opinion, probably one of Gamrot's best. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
dude.
one of Dan's best.
Yeah, yeah, and Gamrot, he came out there. He was a bit aggressive too, so it was interesting to see him beat this version of Gamrot. I don't know, like when it comes to you and Dan, I see this commonality because both of you guys are kind of like these warriors in the division that everybody loves to watch. Both of you guys always want to fight the very best in the division, and both of you guys want to take the hardest road to the top. What do you think? Like, what are your thoughts on Dan Hooker and this crazy resurgence that he's had? Because he was the one who wanted Gamrot. There were other fights on the table that he could have taken, and he was the one that got himself onto UFC 305. The UFC wasn't really keen on getting him on there. What is your thoughts on Dan and this crazy resurgence that he's had?
I think for a lot of guys, Dan is inspiring because I would assume not. Let's take me out of the picture, but for example, for his teammates, you look at Dan and he's become kind of a team leader. I would assume, and the way he carries himself, how he's always willing to go to battle with whoever it may be, and even if he's the underdog, he has that attitude. That just got to be inspiring for his team. Like I would love to have a guy like that on my team. So whenever I'm like fighting somebody and I'm the underdog, or I got somebody like I'm stressed about, I'll be like, whatever. Look at what Dan did. Fortunately for me, I got a lot of guys like that. For Giga is one of them. Giga is one of the guys that inspires me a lot. But I got plenty of guys, older, younger guys that truly inspire me, which is fantastic. But I'm telling you, Dan's career is very inspiring, and I think he clearly has a lot left in him. A lot of people thought he was done maybe a couple of years ago, but that's not the case. He's coming back, and he's coming back strong.
Yeah, man. And, his next assignment looks to be Charles Oliveira in December. And I know you know Charles very well yourself. You know, Charles is one of the best guys to do it. So when you look at this matchup and you look at this new re-energized version of Dan Hooker, how do you sort of predict this fight going?
Well, I'll tell you this. I'm not counting Dan Hooker out again. um, I'll put it like this, 50-50. I think whoever finds their rhythm, whoever is able to implement the game plan and pressure, because, when Dan started walking forward and really putting on the pressure is where he won the fight. Once he started pressuring Gamrot, it totally changed. The fight totally changed. So I think if he's able to do the same thing, force Oliveira into his type of fight where it's exchanging, but at his range, that's the best fight for him.
Yeah, man. Well, I can't wait to see that December. So let's just get back to November, man, before we wrap up, because I know you got a busy day over there with the fam. Right now, you're in the process of getting ready for the big return. November looks like the likely date. If it isn't Paddy Pimblett, though, is there anybody else out there that you'd like to have for your return fight? I know like Moicano's fighting in a big fight with BSD. Anybody else sort of on the radar for you if this Paddy Pimblett fight doesn't in fact come together?
Unfortunately, most of the division is kind of booked up. Like Dustin Poirier, I don't know if he's ever going to fight, so I don't really mention his name too much. But he's somebody that's available. To be honest with you, Dan Hooker is available. And if the fight with Charles Oliveira doesn't take place, that's a fight I would really, obviously I've said yes to him before. Just he always wanted to fight at a certain date, and I was like, bro, give me a little bit more time. And he was always looking to fight, like, let's say summer. I'm like, no, I'm looking for November, December kind of deal, and it's never really happened. So Dan Hooker is another one. Um, I don't really know who else is available. Maybe Fazeev, whoever it may be. Whoever's available and is ranked highest. That's kind of what I'm looking for.
Awesome, dude. Well, I'm really happy that you're back in training. I think the new haircut is sexy, brother. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about the grays. And I can't wait to see what's official for December, man. But I think all signs are pointing to a pretty impressive return, man. So thanks so much for joining me. As we wrap up, hey, by the way, you got the new gym going. Any messages for your fans out there that want to get involved with anything that you got coming up? I know you got a few things happening at the gym there.
Man, the gym is awesome right now. We just opened up the recovery center. I Last thing that's left is my coffee shop that's in the gym. So once that's set up, I'm never leaving the gym. I'm going to tell my wife I'm going to set up my bed here, and I'll just see you here. If you want to see me, show up to the gym.
As we wrap up, how does Beneil Dariush like his coffee? And be careful because Australia is a big coffee place. You know that, right?
I know. So I didn't actually start drinking coffee till I visited Melbourne. That's why I started drinking coffee. I was 28 years old when I started drinking coffee. So I went to Melbourne and the coffee just smelled different. It smelled better. I tried the coffee and I was like, oh, this is fantastic. Came back home to America and I didn't actually like it again. So I had to
Yeah.
figure out what was going on, why I didn't like it, and then I had to look into to good coffee. And it's been a trip, bro. I've become a coffee nerd because of Australia. So it's like a so I'm kind of mad at Australia about that. I spent so much time thinking about coffee now, thanks to my one trip to Australia.
Dude, I'm a coffee addict thanks to Melbourne. But look, I can't wait to check out the coffee shop. Guys, make sure to follow Beneil Dariush at Beneil Dariush on social media. And of course, check out his awesome gym. Beneil, man, can't wait to see what's next. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, of course. By the way, I like my coffee black. Just I
Oh,
forgot to
there you go.
mention.
All right. So it's
Yeah.
a straight long black.
Pour over. Yeah, just a pour over. I like a pour over.
Okay.
That's ideal.
Okay. Well, I can't wait. You know what? When this coffee shop's open, I got to plan a trip out there and give it the Melbourne review. I'm sure it'll be great, though.
Come through, brother.